Rabbi Dosa ben Arkinas is trying to teach us about this very serious God. He says this very serious God, aka Hashem, first you want to make sure that you're not on his bad side. First, stop sinning. First, build a good foundation. Foundation of Yirat Shamayim, foundation of learning Torah on a regular basis, foundation of staying away from danger. If you're going to work in a nuclear plant, you need to know how to behave in certain parts of the plant. Certain parts of the plant, you can eat your lunch. Other parts of the plant, you have to put multiple suits to protect yourself from the radiation and so on. Know how to behave at different parts. Know what to stay away from. So Rabbi Dosa ben Arkinaz is saying there's a few things much more important at this stage for you to know than the secrets of what happens in the next world. Much more important than to know the secrets of what happens when you learn the secrets. Much more important than knowing about shadim or all these things that people are attracted to. Good fortunes, if you do this or if you do that. Much more important than that. It's basic things that are going to keep you away from trouble. And what are they? Because first and foremost, don't oversleep. Why do you care about how much I sleep? What do you care about what I sleep? You sleep your share, I'll sleep my share. I went to sleep at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I want to sleep till 12. I want to sleep at 6 a.m. I want to sleep till 2. You want to sleep till 8. I want to sleep till 2. What do you care? He says, Rabbi Dosa ben Arkinaz, Shena shacharit, oversleeping. This will make you sin first thing in the morning by missing Kriyat Shema. The Shulchan Aruch, Or Chaim 580 and 89, talks about the prescribed time for reading the Shema Yisrael in the morning. This is for men because women are not obligated at mitzvot that are pertaining to specific timing. But for men, they have to read the Kriyat Shema at a certain time in the morning. And according to the Gemara, Masechet Brachot, the earlier the better. There's a whole argument of what's the earliest you're allowed to do it. There's also even minagim, Arizal, Ravovadia, and so on, of times that you're allowed to do tefillin versus times you read Kriyat Shema. But nonetheless, the point is, everyone agrees you must read Kriyat Shema in the morning. But not just Kriyat Shema, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad, and go back to sleep. No, not that. Kriyat Shema, lay tefillin, pray, talk to God. It's your morning meeting with the boss. If you had a job, and the boss said, listen, every morning, I'm going to give you a raise. What'd you make yesterday? $100. Okay, so today, I'm going to give you 110. Tomorrow, 111. The next day, 112. The next day, 113, and so on and so on. But every day, I'm going to give you a raise. It's a great job. Eventually, you'll be a millionaire. So there's only one responsibility that you have. What's the responsibility? I want to have a morning meeting with you. I want to meet with you every day. Now, anyone that's not a fool knows that even if he didn't give you the raise, but you wanted to keep the job, you still show up to the meeting. If he's telling you I'm going to give you a raise, and on top of it you have to give the meeting, why not? This is exactly what Hashem is telling you. Every day I'm going to give you a raise. Every day I'm going to give you benefits and rewards for the few words you tell me. You say Shema Yisrael, I'm going to give you something. You say Hashem Elokeinu, I'm going to give you something else. You say Hashem Echad, I'm going to give you more. And so on and so forth. For every single word that you say that connects to my Torah, I'm going to give you a reward. And you can't even quantify how much reward you get for just saying any of the mitzvot, any of the brachot. It's huge. Chazal says that the smallest mitzvah, the reward that we get for the smallest mitzvah, whatever the smallest mitzvah is is more valuable than all of the good that the entire world has ever gotten from the beginning of time until the end of time, combined. For the smallest mitzvah. So we can't even quantify such a thing. So Hashem says, I'm going to give you a raise for doing it. But I need you to show up to this morning meeting. So this meeting is very important. So if you don't show up to the meeting once, okay, not the end of the world. Twice, it's already not good. If you're not showing up to the morning meeting on a regular basis because you're watching YouTube at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's no good. What if you were watching Shul Torah at 4 o'clock in the morning? A lot of people will tell me that I can't wake up in the morning to go to Bekneset because I was watching your shiur at 3 o'clock in the morning. So watch it at 1. So watch it at 12. So watch it at 8. Watch it at 6. You have 24 hours. Why do you have to watch it at 3 o'clock in the morning? You can't use the Torah to make sins. You can't be Korach. You can't say, no, I'm watching Shua Torah at 4 o'clock in the morning, and that's the reason why I'm sinning first thing in the morning. First thing in the morning, I'm not doing Kriyat Shema. First thing in the morning, I'm not doing tefillin. I do tefillin at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Does it say in the Torah, do tefillin at 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Even though you're allowed to do it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Is that where it says in Masechet Brachot to do it? No. It says you have to do it first thing in the morning. Doesn't say at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So, Rabbi Dosa ben Arkinaz is saying, if you're starting in your day with such behavior, you're already putting yourself in a bad situation. Before I go to my next point, you had a question before. You had a question? You want to ask a question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. You said that a lot of people are basically with the conservative and reform.
כן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך שקונים מדורו.
Although there's been a lot more people going into religion, especially people that are non-religious or
Okay.
have been completely, as opposed to
Leaving.
I notice right now that a lot of young people are completely off the trail, and about 80-90% people are going back into
Okay.
Judaism, and a lot of people I see converting.
כן, so what's the question?
So my question is, how come the Orthodox don't get together with the Reform and conservative and form some kind of understanding? So
Because there is an understanding. There's an understanding that's called the Torah.
right,
Torah is not a rule book that's it's a one size fits all, meaning that you can just decide to keep 3 rules, I'll keep another 6, Amos another 4. You got it. We're done. It's either you keep the whole thing or you don't keep. What you're keeping is worthless. Meaning, no one keeps every single rule because not every rule is applicable to every single person. There's certain rules that are only applicable to Kohanim. There's certain rules that are only applicable to women. There's certain rules that are only applicable to men, and so on. But the rules that are applicable to you, you must keep. There's no such thing as you are dismissed from this rule because it's too much for you. There's no such thing. When Hashem says in Parashat Bechukotai, "In Bechukotai telechu," if you go with my laws, he doesn't say if you go with some of my laws, or the laws that you like, or the laws that are convenient for you depending on what year it is, if it's 2017, or it's 1017. He just says, if you go with all of my laws. And the same thing he says every time it mentions the laws of the Torah, it says all of my laws. It repeats all of my laws every time. It never says some of my laws, ever. It says all of my laws constantly. So there is an agreement. It's called the Torah. We received this agreement a little over 3,300 years ago. The problem is that for an agreement to work, both sides need to agree that this agreement is valid. So you can call it Orthodox, you can call it Haredi, you can call it Jewish, whatever you want to call it. One side says, yes, the Torah we got from Mount Sinai, it's valid. It's from God. When someone says the Torah is divine, that means it's from God. If it's from God, that means it's eternal. It never changes. Doesn't matter what year, doesn't matter if it's convenient, doesn't matter if you like it, doesn't matter if you agree with it. It means none of the human acceptance is irrelevant. Once it's determined to be divine, that means it's eternal. It never changes, which means we have to change, not the Torah. So now, when one side says, yes, this Torah is from God, we have to keep it. We have to do our best to change ourselves to keep it. The other side, on the other hand, if it's reform, it's saying, no, it's just a history book. It's not real. It's not really from God. Conservative, on the other hand, says, yeah, part of it is real. Part of it's not real. And according to the Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, the Shulchan Aruch, the Rambam, and pretty much every posek that ever talked about the issue, anyone that says one word of the Torah, one word, not the entire Torah, not half the Torah, one word of the Torah is not divine, en lo chelek l'Olam HaBa. He has no share of the world to come, he has no share of Hashem, he has no connection to God whatsoever. Why? Because he just said that the one thing that Hashem gave us is not real. So when the other side of the agreement says, your agreement is not valid, there's no agreement. So we'd love to welcome everyone, as long as they agree to follow what it says. But when you change the law, and you say that, no, when God wrote that homosexuality is not allowed, you're saying he didn't mean it. Like this one conservative rabbi wrote an article about a year ago, and it was one of the parashot, one of the parts of the Torah that talks about the laws, and it says that homosexuality is not allowed. It's considered disgusting in the eyes of Hashem. And this conservative rabbi wrote, no, I don't think that Hashem really meant it. That would be mean. No, this is a year ago, before Dweck came. This is a conservative rabbi. Dweck is probably closer to Reform, but he calls himself Orthodox. This other guy actually said that Hashem didn't mean it. He didn't mean it. So the point is that when you change the Torah, you change it, you're treating it like it's a history book with electives of what you want to believe and what you don't want to believe. So now, this is a non-starter, is what we call it. In the business world, there are certain things that are not starters. You say you want to sell the business, great. You say you want $1 million for the business, great. You say that your business sells apples, great. I say, I don't want to pay you $1 million, and I want to pay you $10. That's a non-starter. That means that we have no deal. We're not on the same page. There's no negotiation. You don't negotiate when you're that far apart. If I said 500,000, you said $1 million, we have something to work with here. We can meet somewhere in the middle. But if I say $10, you say $1 million, that's a non-starter. There's no negotiation. We're in different worlds. So when you say the Torah is divine and the other guy says it's not, it's a non-starter. It ruins everything.
But with conservative, there's more connection. I understand with reform, they're basically out there.
Right.
But with conservative, there's a lot more.
Yeah, there's a lot more connection as far as they like to read the Torah, they just don't like to follow it. So the problem is that the problem is that yes, if the Torah was a philosophy book, then yeah, they would be right on the money. The Christians also like the Torah, they just don't like to read it, and they don't like to follow it. So again, it's not a matter of creating war. You have to understand, in the Gemara, it says, Makom sheyesh chilul Hashem en kvod harav. In a place that there's desecration of Hashem's name, meaning desecration of His Torah, desecration of His name itself, there's no consideration for kavod, even for a rabbi, even for the leader, let alone for the followers. And the reason why is because as a Jew, you have to have a priority list. And every Jew technically is supposed to have the same exact priority list. First, number one, God. Everything else after. God's before your wife, God's before your husband, God's before your kids, God's before your friends, God's before your job, God's before everything, then everything else. If your priority list looks something like that, you're on the right track. But if you like something more than God, you have something to work on. You have to fix something. In the beginning, some people take offense to this, like, no, come on, I can't really tell my wife that I love God more than her. I said, well, if she loves you, she should tell you you should love God more than her. You'll have a better chance of getting to Gan Eden. It's not, just because you love something doesn't mean you don't love something else. But it has a priority list. So, our priority list is to follow what God says. Why? Because if we follow what He says, we have a better chance of not only getting to a better place in the next world, but getting to a better place in this world and taking everyone that's next to us with us. If we change, then we're not following the instructions. Then all bets are off. So now, Rabbi Dosa ben Arkinas is telling us, it starts with the beginning of your day. It starts with what you think is a priority. If you think that God is a priority, and you live that way, you live what you think. You're not one of these people that says one thing and does something else. As the prophet says, Hashem says that they respected me with their lips, but not with their actions. They respected me with words they said. They said, Baruch Hashem, Be'ezrat Hashem. Respected me with words, but with their actions, not so much. Kvod Harav, Kvod Harav, Kvod Harav. When it came to tzedakah, $3. Thank you. I'll buy Kit Kat with it for my kid. What am I going to do with $3? Sometimes you have people like this. They give you, like, they write things, they say things, all the greatest things in the world. But then when it comes to actual action fulfillment, not so much. Sometimes you have marriage couples, you have marriage problems. The foundation of the problem is that. The husband says, I love you, I love you, I love you, but he also says it to another woman. So both of them he loves. Just that both don't know about each other. Sometimes you have a woman saying to her husband, I love you, I love you, I love you, but she's constantly putting pressure on him to work 3 jobs because she needs to have a new car every month, she needs to have 18 dresses, she needs to have a shoe every day. She puts pressure on him to work overtime. That's not love. The purpose of love is to bring the best out of each other. If you're not going to bring the best out of each other, don't love me. Don't do anything for me. Don't even say it, because your love is costing me too much. So now Hashem says, they say they love me. They say they love me with their words, with their mouths. But their actions, not so much. Because the love has to be here. So Shlomo HaMelech says, if you want to succeed in life, you have to make sure you don't put yourself into a trap. What's the trap? It says the way you start your day. The way you start your day. Even if you don't have a job that requires you to wake up at 6 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning like I needed to wake up in Wall Street, even if you don't have any appointments early in the morning, you must start your day early. You have to go to Beit Knesset, you have to pray, you have to learn, you have to get stuff going. Why? Shlomo HaMelech says, מעט שנות, מעט תנומות, מעט חיבוק ידיים לשכב, ובא כי מעלך ראשך ומחסורך כאיש מגן. Translation, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to recline, and your poverty will come like a traveler, and your lacking like an armed man. He says, you're going to get a little comfortable in life, you got a few bucks in the bank, you made a few dollars in the stock market, real estate, so you want to sleep in. You want to wake up at 10. You go to sleep late because you're watching YouTube, you're watching Torah anytime, you're watching, I don't know, Dardasim, whatever you're watching. You're up late, so you want to wake up at 10. He says, okay, I'm just letting you know, this is from the wisest man that ever lived. And he says, a little sleep, a little slumber, you take your time. You don't wake up like a normal person that starts a day. You want to oversleep a little bit. It's going to cause a little slumber. It's going to cause you to become lazy. 9 o'clock in the morning is going to turn into 9:30. 9:30 is going to turn into 10. Eventually, 10:30. Baruch haba. Eventually, maybe 11 or 12. Eventually, you're gonna wing it every day. You're not gonna have a schedule. You're gonna be very, very comfortable. You're gonna recline. And poverty will come like a traveler. Poverty is gonna come. You don't expect it. But eventually, when the stock market is not working your way, when the real estate market's not hot, when the employees don't feel like working from home anymore, they want to see their boss, things are not going to work as efficient as they are. It's going to take adjustment for you. You can't adjust overnight. By the time you adjust, you're already going to go broke. First and foremost, you have to understand, you have to start your day early. And he says it in the verse before, this is verse 10, chapter 6, verse 10. In verse 6, he says, Lech lanemala atzel, rei darkea vechacham. He says, go to the ant, you lazy person, and learn from its ways, and become wise. Last time, we gave a shiur, actually today, also. I saw an ant, but he didn't give a shiur. But Shlomo HaMelech says we have to learn from the ant. What do you have to learn from the ant? What do you have something to learn from the ant? It says the ant, average, they say, lives for anywhere from 6 months to a year. But during the first day of its life, I don't know who did this analysis, but someone told me this is true. During the first day of its life, it collects all of the food it's ever going to need. During the first day. But you never see the ant go to sleep. You never see the ant go to Cancun on vacation. Take a break, lay down, hang out with the guys, have a couple of beers, watch the game. Never see that. Every day the ant goes to work. Every day the ant works as if it's saving for tomorrow, and for tomorrow, and for tomorrow, but it's not going to be tomorrow for that much longer. Every day it's collecting 6 months worth of food. He says that's where you learn ambition from. Every day you go collect diamonds, mitzvot. Even though you don't know how long you have. Maybe you have 6 months, maybe you have 60 years, who knows? But be like an ant. Learn from her, be chacham, be wise. But if you're going to sleep, you're going to wake up at 12 o'clock in the afternoon every day, you're already starting your day in a bad way. This is actually mentioned in Proverbs twice, in chapter 6 and in chapter 24. So as we continue, he says that if you already started with oversleeping, now you've become lazy. Boredom leads to sin. How does it lead to sin? We have nothing to do. You have to create something. And we already learned from Rambam, Ilchot Isurei Be'ah, and he says one of the main ways that leads you to make sex crimes, whether it's wasting seed or going with people that you're not allowed to be with, having even these desires is as a result of boredom. Having an empty mind. You have an empty mind, you're just thinking about baseball, basketball, stock market, all things like the things of this world. This is an empty mind. Even though you may know the salary cap for every single team in the Major League Baseball and NFL and in the NBA, this is not going to occupy your mind to make it a full mind. This is an empty mind. A mind that's full is a mind that's full of Torah. And the reason why is because the Torah keeps you thinking. Keeps you trying to figure out how the system works. What are the secrets to the world? How do I make myself better? How do I use this rule to make this better? How do I use this rule to make that better? How do I use these tools? Salary caps are just going to make you a jealous person. You're going to live in denial. You're going to live with hopes that one day you're going to have a house next to LeBron James. You're not going to have a home next to LeBron James. he's not going to want to live next to you. He wants to live in a house that you can't afford. And you thinking that you're going to live next to LeBron James and he's even going to look at you is going to make you live in fantasy for the rest of your life. And you're going to ruin your life. This is the same thing with people that go on Facebook a lot. They see other people's pictures, and everyone's life looks fantastic. Because the pictures that people put online are pictures of vacation, of good things. No one puts the pictures of the fight they just had. No one puts the picture of them getting fired. Oh, this is me. Yeah, you see me in the background? I got fired in that picture. No one puts that picture. No one puts the picture of the kids crying, driving you crazy at 3 o'clock in the morning. No one puts that picture. Everyone puts the picture of the kids wearing a costume and they look like two little angels. No one puts the picture that you have to pick up the remains of the dog inside the house in the living room. Everyone puts the picture of the dog jumping like he's like Superman in the field. Not you cursing the dog out and saying, I can't believe I have this dog living in my house. Get this dog out. No one puts that picture. So people see other people's picture and they live vicariously through other people's lives momentarily. It makes themselves feel good for a little bit that someone's having fun out there. But then they look at their own life and they say, my life is not like this. He's on vacation. I'm working. He's having fun. I have a upside down smile all the time. I'm miserable. He's happy. I'm fat. He's skinny. I'm this. He's that. And you start comparing yourself to everybody on the internet. They're all happier than you. You want to commit suicide. You want to get divorced. So this type of behavior leads to empty minds. This is empty. This is going to lead to disaster. This is going to lead to sin. This is the reason why people end up ruining their lives by going on the internet and going on to all these horrendous websites. Because when you become miserable, you need some type of, or at least your Yetzirah tells you need some type of relief. As a man, every man knows how to do that once he gets to puberty, and he ruins his soul that way. And he starts wasting seed. And little by little, he becomes addicted to it. Little by little, he ruins his life. Both this world and the next world. Because he doesn't realize that the main reason of why he's not getting parnasah is because he wastes seed. Because Hashem gives shefa to each person. When a man is wasting his seed, he's in essence distributing his shefa somewhere else. So all the wealth and good and happiness and great things that Hashem wants to give you, you're throwing it out. So now, this starts with living a life where you have no schedule, you're getting yourself to a point where you're bored, you're getting yourself to a point where you're lazy. And Rabbi Dosa says, then you're going to think, you know what, I got to fix myself. Let me at least look the part. Look like I'm successful. You ever see these, I don't know if this has always been the case, but it seems like it's a disease in this generation, where these young nobodies, they have nothing in their life. Like they have no actual job usually, and even if they have a job, they're not actually successful at it, but they act like they are. So they go to these very expensive restaurants, and they sit there and they drink wine like they're connoisseurs. They shake the wine like they know what the difference between a $7 wine and a $70 wine is. They shake the wine, and they sit with one leg over the other, and they start talking about baseball and basketball, nothing actual sophisticated. You see these people before? I used to have some of these people work for me. These guys, mamash, like, they weren't winners. Let's call it that way. They weren't winners. I knew because I wrote their paychecks. I knew how much money they were making. And I knew that I had to lend each one of them money every month because they didn't make enough money to pay their own bills. But they would take breaks, lunch breaks, and they would go to lunch somewhere on Wall Street or somewhere in Manhattan, and they would sit there with leg over leg, like as if they just made $100,000 this month. The guy can't pay rent. I have to pay for his insurance bill. But he's having lunch with his friends like he's enjoying the sun. What are you enjoying? What are you enjoying exactly? This is the same thing I saw another kid. I think I told you guys a story. Well, I saw this young kid. maybe 27, 28 years old, no job, no girlfriend, no wife, no kids, no nothing going on in his life, but his mom pays his bills. And he's sitting there, and we're in Israel, and he's on vacation, and I see him, he asks my brother, do you want wine? My brother's like, no, I'm okay, and he orders wine for himself, and you see him going like this with the wine, and he shakes, and Mamash, it frustrated me, I don't know why it hit me the wrong way, but I see this kid, 28 years old, he has nothing going on for him, he's shaking the wine like a connoisseur. And I said, this is the reason why you have no job and no nothing, and because you want to look a certain part that you're not. You're acting like you are something, but you're not. So, Rabbi Dosa ben Arkinaz says, Shena shacharit leads to yain shetzoraim. Sleeping, oversleeping, all this laziness type of behavior, what's you going to do? You want to look the part. You're going to want to look like you're successful. So what are you going to do? You're going to wake up, you're going to go to the cafe, and you're going to have wine when? In the afternoon. Instead of finally starting your day, you woke up at 11. Instead of finally starting your day, what do you want? You want to have wine. You want to enjoy life. Because you have this mentality like you came here to enjoy life. No one says you have to be miserable, but having wine at 12 o'clock in the afternoon is not exactly conducive for a productive person. So you can have wine in the afternoon. So what do you want to do after you drink wine? What do you want to do after you eat meat? You want to go back to sleep. So you started in a negative way, you're continuing in a negative way.
I've heard enough. New arrival screams, echoing through the hallway to know that this ain't good. Once they pass them through the infierno, they don't come back. It's enough to make you go crazy.
Do not think we fear you, Spirit. We know your power is born of evil. This is your last night in the land of the living. You understand me, malevolent demons?
There was a rich family that lived here called the Hetheringtons, and unfortunately, their daughter passed away of a heart attack inside the house. Basically, they were so devastated that they reached out to people claiming to be psychic mediums. They actually weren't psychic mediums. They opened up a total of 11 portals inside this house and invited spirits and entities from all different kinds of dimensions.
Well, I think there are certain pieces of evidence that there is an afterlife.
Resurrection of the dead is affirmed pretty clearly in the Talmud and the Midrash.
To be honest with you, to give this lecture is a nightmare. If it was up to me, I wouldn't. There's going to be some graphic details.
This place is a maze.
that person after death went to a place called Sheol.
This is by far the largest near-death experience study that has ever been conducted.
People go to a place and they experience weird things. And sometimes they actually will see a character of some type. Well, where did that come from?
I don't know why that one chain is swinging back there.
They may describe feeling profoundly peaceful, seeing a bright, warm, welcoming light. Some people describe watching doctors and nurses working on them with incredible accuracy.
Next thing I knew, I was above my body watching the operation.
How long did you feel like you were gone?
I went to a place of timelessness. And so what that means, it could have been a second, could have been 5 minutes. I don't know.
Can you imagine waking up from your sleep and not being able to move?
As I'm lying there, I realized that there's an evil presence next to me.
Do you believe that angels, demons exist?
Holy shit, dude, get out of here! Oh my god, dude!
Strange things keep happening. Bizarre nightmares. As if I'm on fire.
Whoa, what the hell is this? Man, I've got bad chest pain.
Satan's Hollow is what it's called, the portal to hell.
Some people calling it an eye of fire, while others said it looked like the portal to hell opening up.
And the next thing I know, I was outside of my body, looking at my body.
What I'm going to do is called claromancy, the art of throwing lots or throwing bones.
2,000 years of experience, passed down, recorded, of how demons work.
God has them all on a leash, and he lets the leash go enough to let them tempt us, because that's what makes us spiritually stronger.
I'm trying to be as graphic as possible so you understand what we're talking about.
It's your ticket to reality. It's your ticket to freedom. It's your ticket to immortality.
Is there an afterlife? Is there a
it's
God?
The type of information that can keep you away from the Yitzhak.
What happens to us after we die?